Hi guys, Ken from Miniature Wargaming Warriors, and today this is the first episode of a multi-part series of me building a Stalingrad City Fight board ready for Warlord Games' upcoming release of their new Stalingrad book. So in part one, I'm going to take you through how to build the board itself. It's quite straightforward to do. If you follow my guide, you should be able to build one yourself. It shouldn't take too long and it's quite cheap to do. So let's get onto the desk now. So first things first, the major thing is the base. It's 6mm MDF. I got this from B&Q, it cost me about £15. I got it cut to the size I wanted, so I asked for 3 sections of 2x4 and I asked just for whatever was left over to use as the extra piece for the Volga bit, the river where I'm going to do the resin and yeah, because I'm going to do resin, and the start of the upheaval onto the actual city itself. So that was the main base, so it's 6mm MDF. I've gone with that because it's quite thin, so it's lightweight, so it's easier to transport around. It's a little bit, as you can see here, I'm lifting it here, it's a little bit flexible, which is fine because I'm going to be using some of this, I call it bunting stuff. It's probably got a wood technical name to it, but basically it's 25mm by 20mm. It's the cheapest cut of wood they had. It's from the outside stuff. You could buy 25mm square from inside. It was pine, I didn't want pine, and that was like £7 per 6 foot. But this stuff was £1.43 and I was like, I'll have a bit of that. It's going to need a bit of sanding, so it's going to need a little bit of work, which isn't a problem. I'm not going to be doing hand sand, I'm going to use a proper sander to do it. But all I'm going to do is build this around for a frame, so I'm going to put a square frame in and then I'm going to use the polystyrene to sit inside that frame as like my base layer. Right, polystyrene. So with the polystyrene, cheapest chips, this cost me £8.70. It's not just this strip, it was the whole 8 foot by 4 foot size. Comes in one massive sheet. So you need to either have a big van to transport it in, or what you can do is take it out to the car park, have your handy saw ready, do a little bit of measuring, cut it in the car park, fit it in your car. Why not? Does it really matter? Saves you like, I think it was an extra 12 quid if you wanted to buy a pre-cut 4 sections. And I don't even think you got the same amount. I think you actually get a bit less, to be fair. So save yourself some money, buy it in one sheet. Definitely the way forward to go. So this is going to sit, like I said, on this MDF board. So that's the main materials I'm using just to build the board itself. It's 25mm thick. I've purposely gone for 25mm thick because I want it to fit inside this wood here. So I'm still deciding what to do, whether to go 50mm thick. It'll probably be a lot easier for me once I've got the frame itself done. It just depends really, because like I've said previously, with this board, it's a city fight board. I'm not doing massive rolling hills. It is quite flat terrain apart from craters and bits and bobs like that. I don't want it to be super flat, but I can use sculpt and mould and bits and bobs to make indents of terrain. I can use polystyrene. So I'm not sure whether I'll go to 50mm or I'll go to 25 yet. I'm thinking about sticking with the 25 in all honesty with you. Just getting bits of polystyrene to go on top and putting sculpt and mould around it. But we'll see. Let's get back to the main part of the video and go from there. So I start by just marking out where I'm actually going to cut. I start off with a small handsaw, realise this is futile and decide to go and get a bigger saw. Definitely use a bigger saw. This little handsaw was no good at all. In total, it takes me about 15 minutes to do these first cuts. I'm no carpenter, but you know, it's average time. Right, so I've cut the wood to shape and to size. Got my sections. Basically made a frame, as you can see. Just done it. It's roughly, you know, there's going to be gaps, but I can use filler for this to plug the gaps. Debating whether to, when I do it, if I spray, whether to use a can or just use the airbrush. So I've got quite a lot of black, so it depends. I might just use a can, but outside, depending on what the weather's like. If the rain's really bad and the weather's, you know, naff, I'll probably just use the airbrush for indoors, wear a mask and stuff like that. Just a safety note, if you're going to be sawing any MDF, you want to be wearing a mask because the particles get in your lungs, so you don't want that. Just then do it outside really, it's probably your best bet. If you have got to do it indoors, like I say, wear a mask and try and vent the area. If you've got any small animals and stuff like that, get them out of the room. But I was just sawing this, I wasn't sawing the MDF, hence why I got them to do a B&Q. So happy days. I'll see you again in a minute once I've got these nailed down, and we're getting the styrene ready for the foam. After I've measured all the end bits and get it ready to go, I've then flipped the board over because I'm going to mark some holes, or I'm actually going to put some screws in, because that's how I'm going to attach this trimming down. So I'm actually just going to screw it down with a load of screws. Start doing that with the drill, makes it really easy work. It's better than just using glue for it. I don't bother putting any glue underneath, to be honest with you, because I know the polystyrene is going to go on it in a minute. Right, I've screwed it down. Happy days. Nice and on there, firm. Done lots of screws, as you can see through the time lapse. But one thing I will note, good idea. I thought about it afterwards, but it's a bit too late now. If I do any builds in the future, you can get a piece on a drill that allows you to go into the wood a little bit. I can't remember what it's called, but it makes the actual head from the screw sit flush instead of just drilling it in. I'm not too fussed, to be honest with you. It doesn't really bother me. I could get those things that you get for under sofas that cushion it, so I'll probably do that instead. But the next step now is going to be getting this styrene to fit nicely inside there. So it's going to require some cutting, but that's what it would look like if it was 50mm, so double the height. Debating whether or not to do that yet. Still haven't chosen, but I'll see you again in a minute once I've got this to sit nicely inside. I'm literally just using a hobby saw just to trim around the edges. I'm not measuring anything, I'm just literally sticking the saw down just to fill the groove. It doesn't have to be super accurate, because again, I can use filler. Right, so I've cut it to size, just behind my ear. Got some of this polystyrene left over, it's not really that much of a deal. It's going to all get sealed in anyway. So I'm using some Luke APS's fast drying basing glue, just some PVA glue would do, any old PVA glue would do. The only reason I'm using the fast drying stuff is I want it to dry quicker. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I'm going to crack on with that. Literally just share the love, spread it around. Spread it around. Sure to get everywhere. Cool. So on about with the glue, plenty of it down there. Okay. What I'm going to do is get a brush. And just like brush it into the wood. Just to thin it out a bit. I've glued that in now, so I'm going to leave that for probably about another hour before I would attempt to do any more work on it anyway. It's not too bad really, because I've got another two of these to do. Technically another three actually. I've got another three to do to get the table, you know, bases and all that done. But this is the principle. So this is what you're left with. You know, this is what we've built. This is the start of any sort of board really. Put two of these together and you can make a nice 4x4 board quite nicely, quite happily, to be honest. You can see it's a little bit raised up. Not really that much of a drum. You can use a hot wire tool for that to trim it out if you wanted to line up with the wood, or you can just fill it with leftover polystyrene, bit of not PVA, bit of like filler, something if you want to flatten it out, because obviously you want the boards to sit nice and flush together. So obviously there are different applications you could use this for. I'm using it for a Stalingrad board, City Fight. You could use it for a Warhammer Epic board, two of these. You know, make a nice 4x4 Warhammer Epic, just a basic start. You could use it for Lord of the Rings, you could use it for anything really. This is just your basic fundamentals board. It doesn't have to be a City Fight board, be anything. This is just your basic fundamentals to start with if you're going to do your own stuff. But what I would recommend is, while this is drying, which I'm going to do in a second once I get off camera, put some weight on it just to hold it in place, just so it doesn't raise anywhere. I don't think it will, but just in case, you know, just be on the safe side. But I've very much enjoyed doing this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. And we'll see you again very soon.